to this precious conference. My aim out of this presentation is not to give solid scientific facts about the central radiopharmacy. I'm only willing to discuss the feasibility and efficacy of the central radiopharmacy to help the nuclear medicine society in Egypt. So, first introduction. Commercial central radiopharmacy is a mature and practical concept in the developed countries long time ago. However, in the developing ones, where its importance and feasibility is very high, this idea is not yet well established in most of the developing countries, but not all, because many developing countries have their own central radiopharmacies, especially India. Since the running cost of the nuclear medicine procedures is being considered the main obstacle of the nuclear medicine progress in any developing country, it's clear that the central radiopharmacy can lead the nuclear medicine progress and market in these countries. I'd like to describe here briefly what is the central radiopharmacy. It is a highly specialized nuclear pharmacy which is able to produce and distribute calibrated, good manufacturing practice, compliant and safe single radiopharmaceutical doses to the nuclear medicine facilities in its geographical area in a routine and scheduled timetable. A centralized nuclear pharmacy in any region, which having reasonable transportation facilities, can lead to significant saving of money and personal time. It must be shared by many, if not all, hospitals in a given region. Otherwise, it may not be feasible to run it commercially. The scope of the central radiopharmacy service can vary according to the capacity and needs of these service institutes. It can be assigned for bed and spectral tracers, or to only one of these categories. As an example, we have BedNet, which is dedicated only for better radiopharmaceuticals. We have many central radiopharmacies in the US, which is dedicated only for the spectral radiopharmaceuticals, but the most common one is the PET and SPECT providing radiopharmaceuticals. What are the advantages of having a central radiopharmacy? The primary advantage of the central radiopharmacy, of course, is the cost effectiveness. The cost effectiveness comes out of the central radiopharmacy was the main target of installation of any radiopharmacy in any city all over the world. It's well known that the nuclear medicine practitioners, that the main challenges in the fields are not the initial investments on the machines, hot labs, and radiation protection tools, but it is the running cost of the radiopharmaceutical and cold kits, which are not parallel with the number of served patients. The loss of the technician 99M activities that varies between 50% in busy institutes and up to 85% in low-profile ones increase the cost of the nuclear medicine procedures that limits the utilization of the nuclear medicine technology due to this high cost. In addition to the irregular availability of the tracer, like what we had last year in the summer of 2011, which was widely called the Mori crisis. There was a severe shortage of the molybdenum all over the world. The most affected areas was the developing countries, since for the vendors of the molybdenum generators, it wasn't justified to send the generators to certain areas which are not utilizing the maximum activity of it. So I think in Europe and US, they didn't have the same problem due to the presence of the central radiopharmacy. With the central radiopharmacy, the cost can be reduced up to 70%, which will reduce the cost of the procedure, but will encourage the referring physicians to rely on the nuclear medicine scans for their patient diagnosis. The second advantages of the central radiopharmacy is obtaining a standardization of the procedures of nuclear medicine and application of the quality assurance programs. Although there is a great demand now all over the world for applying the standards international safety rules for patients' injections, most of the nuclear medicine facilities in the developing countries are not able to do the proper radiopharmacy QC tests due to the lacking of instruments and trained professionals. It's well known by the nuclear medicine professionals now that the central radiopharmacy is the best solution to provide high caliber, safe, and up to standard patient doses which is fulfilling their demands. The third aspect, the third advantage of having a central radiopharmacy is the radiation protection aspect. The radiation protection issues out of the labeling and handling the radiopharmaceuticals is also an active professional concern. It is mandatory that the central radiopharmacy service will reduce the nuclear medicine professionals' exposure, as well as decreasing the probability of contamination. This idea is being highly appreciated and encouraged by both the governing authority and the nuclear medicine radiation workers. The fourth advantage of having this central radiopharmacy is increasing the nuclear medicine performance. The central radiopharmacy can decrease the number of workers directly involved in the hot lab and procedures. That serves for a better diagnostic and patient care features of the nuclear medicine facility. For instance, radiation workers will be dedicated only for the patient service and the scanning services, so they will be able to provide a better service for these patients. This can also act as an efficient key factor in overcoming the worldwide shortage in nuclear medicine qualified professionals, which is a dear vitally in Europe now. Another advantage is that the central radiopharmacy can help in nuclear medicine development. We have the fact that most of the private hospitals and radiology centers, especially in Egypt here, their efforts to fulfill their services through adding nuclear medicine units in their facilities are being tackled with the relatively high running cost of the nuclear medicine pharmaceuticals and cocktails, which is not affordable due to the irregular flow of patients. This concept forces these centers to either ignore the idea of having a nuclear medicine facility or to establish a nuclear medicine unit while maintaining the financial drawbacks out of this to complete those services. The central radiopharmacy is used to be the magic solution for these challenges, as these centers can easily invest in the gamma camera, like all other imaging modalities, and a small dispensing hot lab. There is no need to make a fully equipped hot lab, and then they will be paying only for the radiopharmaceuticals injected to the patients. The central radiopharmacy will also open the field for having nuclear medicine services, dedicated centers, which can depend on the pharmacy for the supply of diagnostic and therapeutic agents whenever needed. These are not attached to the clinical facilities. The last one is, the last advantage here, is the lower license class. Usually in many countries, nuclear medicine facilities with no labeling and dispensing activities, which are relying on the central radiopharmacy, can apply for a lower grade of licenses due to its limited activities whenever benefited from the central radiopharmacy service. For these centers, this lower licensing class means lower cost of shielding, radiation monitoring system, and less number of dedicated professionals, and also lower minimum time spent with the authorization and licensing procedure. So this is the last research and education. The central radiopharmacy in any area can lead the training, research, and the educational plans in the field of nuclear pharmacy and isotope production through its professional team of radiopharmacists, radiochemists, and technologists. It can provide guidance and technical advice to the concerned facilities for proper standardization of nuclear medicine procedures and related dosimetry features. What is a central radiopharmacy? What is a component of this? How it can be affordable? Generally, it's being composed of two different units. Inner units, which is dedicated for the labeling and dispensing of the radiopharmaceutical doses, and outer one, which contains proper transportation units that can maintain all radiation safety and GMP rules to deliver the doses to the concerned facilities. The inner unit includes reception and secretary area for receiving of the required doses and management of the flow in the central radiopharmacy, offices for the scientist and facility manager, hot lab and clean room area, quality control room, health physics lab, and radioactive waste storage room, and finally packing and dispatching area. We'll start with the reception and administration area. Reception and administration area is dedicated for the following: coordination of the flow inside and outside the central radiopharmacy, documentation of the dispensed doses and workflow characters, accommodate the staff rooms and daily activities. We have here important note that since the centralized nuclear pharmacy serves a number of institutes in different locations, a precisely timed protocol is needed for procuring all the requisitions and then preparing and shipping radiopharmaceuticals to different customers at specific times. The hot lab, which is the core of the facility and the master scene also, is a place where all preparations and dispensing procedures are performed aseptically under the strict GMP regulations. Technetium 99 radiopharmaceuticals label procedures as well as the dispensing is ready for the ready received doses like iodine, gallium and other reactor-based or reactor-produced radiopharmaceuticals, as well as beta radiopharmaceuticals are to be performed in a clean environment that can be obtained through one of two options. The first option is to having a clean room in the facility or a laminar flow isolator. The first solution, which is the standard one, is having a clean room. However, having a clean room in the central radiopharmacy is a very sophisticated procedure because clean room will need airlock like a cyclotron, negative pressure airlock, will need the specialized particle monitoring, specialized vibration enclosure and dispensing units. So it's very costly to have a clean room in the central radiopharmacy. An efficient alternative to the clean room is to having the laminar flow isolator. The laminar flow isolator is a small footprint instrument that totally works like the clean room. It contains all of the features of the clean room in a very small area, and it's also not costly and cheap to be affordable. The second is the quality control lab. We are doing the quality control to ensure that the highest quality standards are applicable for the dispatched doses. Most of the tests are pre-release one. However, some of them are post-release. I will mention later on what are the pre-release and post-release tests. Why we should have a quality control dedicated labs? By our experiment that to perform the quality control procedures in a clean room or a similar area, this is very costly and it's not needed. It's not a standard to do the quality control in a clean room. So we should have a quality control room with lower grade or lower classification and also away from the high radiation burden of the hot lab, as the TLC machine especially dedicated for the chemical purity is being highly affected by the scattering radiation. Some tests are to be done with all radiopharmaceuticals, like physical tests, the radiochemical purity tests to define the percentage of the desired radiopharmaceuticals out of the other impurities like free technetium, hydrolyzed reduced technetium. The nucleic purity to define the amount of impurities of other nuclides like molybdenum in any technetium elution. Chemical purity to detect the other chemical forms like alumina in the technetium elution. pH, which should be similar to the pH of blood as it's an injected ligand. Stability test is a very important test in any central radiopharmacy, since the shipping of the procedure of the doses is taking too much time. Sometimes it reaches about 2 hours. So to determine the stability of your product, it's mandatory before sending it to your customer. Sterility and paragenicity tests. Sterility test, of course, is a post-release test, as it takes about 2 weeks, while the paragenicity test can be done pre-release. However, it takes about 1 hour. Health physics lab, including the radiation monitoring tools, as well as the personal and area radiation safety items, where all licensing, QC, radiation survey, and personal monitoring documents are recorded and organized in this area. There is also a radioactive waste storage room, which can be categorized to solid and liquid waste areas. In huge central radiopharmacy facilities, there should be liquid tanks attached and monitored by certain monitors to control the liquid waste out of the facility. Finally, you will have the packing and dispatching area, and where the dispensed doses are being packed properly for the final shipment. This area should be close to the dedicated radioactivity exit, facing the transportation vehicle parking area. Now we will talk about the outer unit, which contains compact, lead-lined and emergency-equipped transportation vehicles that are able to reach close as well as distant facilities in all predefined timetable in compliance with the radioactivity transportation regulations of the local governing authority. In master radiopharmaceuticals, where the services are being provided among a large number of cities and or distant areas, the central radiopharmacy can act with public or own air transportation. Now I will have a brief look on the central radiopharmacy service in USA. Nuclear pharmacy or nuclear central radiopharmacy is a well-established idea in the United States from the early 70s. Many commercial companies are distributing their central radiopharmacy units along the different states in the USA. Now, according to the report in 2011, it's 417 central radiopharmacies in US only. The most common companies or the most common vendors for the central radiopharmacy are categorized here. They are Cardinal Health, Covidia, GE, Western Isotopes, independent pharmacies, institutional practice, PetNet, and Triad Isotopes. This graph showing the distribution of the central radiopharmacies of only one company among the US, and this is Cardinal Health. Another one is showing the distribution of the radiopharmaceuticals with another company, which is Triad Isotopes. To defend the radiopharmaceutical distribution in only one state, which is Texas, you'll find here 32 nuclear pharmacies in Texas only, between Cardinal Health, GE, Independent, and PetNet, and Triad Isotopes. While in Florida, there are 29 nuclear central radiopharmacies for the same companies. Conclusion: central radiopharmacy is a practical and feasible solution to overcome the persisting nuclear medicine tackles out of the high running cost of a nuclear medicine facility. However, it needs a full sharing responsibility between the radiopharmacy, clinical facility in the area, and the governing authority for a successful integration of this practicing in the developing countries. Thank you.